Good morning, Horizon. My name is Megan, and I'm coming to you this morning with a little word of advice from Jesus that can be found in Matthew chapter 5, verses 24 through 27. And it is about building a solid foundation for ourselves. So anyone who listens to my teaching and follows it is wise, like a person who builds a house on solid rock. Though the rain comes in torrents and the floodwaters rise and the winds beat against that house, it won't collapse because it is built on bedrock. But anyone who hears my teaching and does not obey it is foolish, like a person who builds a house on sand. When the rains and floods come and the winds beat against that house, it will collapse with a mighty crash. So I chose this little story because I think from the outside, like Jesus just says it in such a simple way. If you obey my teaching, you walk away and you apply it to your life, you have a solid foundation and you're prepared for the storm. And if you don't, then you're less prepared for the storm. But in reality, we know that that's actually much more complicated in our day-to-day life than it seems like in this scripture. And it kind of brought me back to some verses that I've been dwelling on from my study in Romans. And I'll read that for us. It's Romans 5, verses 3 and 4. Not only that, but we rejoice in our sufferings, knowing that suffering produces endurance, and endurance produces character, and character produces hope. And I just thought this is such an encouraging verse to go along with this section in Matthew, because it helps us understand why it's so valuable to build that solid foundation in the Lord. And as I'm thinking through how difficult these last few years have been for us and how confusing things in life can be, the only one truth that we can know for real, for true, is Jesus and the promises that he makes to us. And so as I'm thinking through, like, how do I rejoice in my sufferings? The only way I'd be able to do that is if I had that firm foundation where I have hope, even in the suffering, even when the storm comes. I have hope in the promises of the Lord that he is going to see me through. And so just as rejoicing in suffering brings us to that endurance and it builds our character and it gives us that hope. Those are the things that are worth it, that make it valuable to spend the time in the presence of the Lord, to spend the time just memorizing his promises and having them on our heart and walking forth throughout our day with those at the forefront of our mind, with him as our companion. So my encouragement and my prayer for you this morning is that you would just pursue this call that he has to us, that we would know his teachings, that we would have them in our hearts, and that would bring us hope, and that would help us to build that solid foundation so that when the storms come, our faith is firm in the promises that he has for us. Thank you.